how they all sort of fit together in the whole of Allah's design. So understanding the design that Allah has in His creation is a kind of basic hikmah that we can learn. My teacher, when I met him finally, someone I felt, this is the man I wanted to learn from in Pakistan, he said to me, after I looked and searched for many Hakims and was mostly disappointed, he said, my grandfather taught me medicine in the forest. And he told me if someone comes in there sincere, that I have an obligation to teach them. And he said, so if you like, we can begin tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And that's when I knew he was the right person to learn from, to learn in the forest. I made kind of light about the title of this particular presentation, the nature of the human being, the microcosm. We're the story that we tell. And that's Diane. He's given us a means of articulation. We've been telling this story for as long as we know in our history. And we've been expressing what is our nature. We continue to tell more stories. We continue to be writing, studying, understanding, sharing, expressing, writing, making films about it, drama, whatever, on and on. Volumes and volumes about the nature. So in a half hour, an hour's time, 2 hours time, 1 day is not enough. Because while we're a microcosm, the traditional understanding and a traditional point of view is that this is the little universe. How many are familiar with that concept? And that one is Ibn al-Arabi, the scholar, great scholar and philosopher. He said, out there is the big man. So everything that we see, this is something, and understanding this conceptual thing. Little by little, we can begin to understand that in this stuff, in this that we are at this moment, it's vast. It's as vast, and it has so many processes, spectrums of aspects and forms, so forth. It's inside us, whatever is the entire universe. So it's not a little topic that we can do here. But here's one of the things I like to point out, is that while we have words to express, and we have format, each other, assalamu alaikum, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. We have this, we see people and we recognize faces and we recognize things about them by their clothing, various things. All of that, we have something that's deeper inside, kind of thing which, for example, the Prophet said, when we meet someone, or when we get to know someone better, because we recognize the commonality of our soul. So I think even soulmates, I said, absolutely, even soulmates. We're all soulmates. Quality is obscured. So when we come to a place where there's love in the hearts of people, that's more of our true natures coming forward. One of the things we learn in traditional hikmah is that we must understand what is the true nature of being a human being. And that gives us the possibility to understand what is the nature of how it's gone wrong. In other words, we have to understand what it is to see in what way it's not being what it's designed to be. So with my medicine, if I can call it that, the work I do with people, a lot of it is helping people designed to be. And one of the things I say, as a human animal, one of the things we accept in Islam, from Imam al-Ghazali and many others, our animal nature. There's a lot of people who use the language in English and use this expression and they say, well, they're just animals. And well, the animals, not just animals, but the animals are being, in many cases, a lot better than the humans are being. But animals can only be according to their nature unless we corrupt them. Are you familiar with that? People that understand the animals in nature. And the animals in nature have amazing qualities. All the animals in nature have a pattern. And we have a pattern that's similar to them as mammals. All of the part of our nature that I stress in the modern world, Imam Ghazali said, we honor our animal nature. We don't deny it. We don't try to destroy it. But we need to understand it. And we understand it the same way that a rider is horse. And so we understand part of our animal nature is like the horse that we ride. So this complex reality that we find within us, the microcosm, right at this moment, amongst every single one of us here, the medical and scientific people here, there's not 100,000 million, there's probably more quadrillion or innumerable processes that are taking place this very instant. This very instant. Innumerable ways, and that are adjusting and managing the situation, and hearing what I'm saying, what happens inside, this thing of this balance that by Allah's command takes place, which is the only thing going out of this balance and eventually or tailspin of irreversible shock and death. So this is constantly taking place every single moment. And one of the evidences of this is by the fact that right now, across the world, there are someone is studying and researching this psychological body of endless things that we can read about the nature of illness and well-being and health. At this very moment, someone has just discovered something likely, and they're saying, oh, this is something that I didn't know, that we didn't know, that I've been researching. They've been searching, and this will happen year after year, and it will continue because it's endless. It's an endless repository of these realities. That we every year, every 5 years, something extraordinarily new comes out. One of the things I've done, even like studying the traditional medicine of hot, cold, wet, and dry from traditional cultures. The Muslims took from Greeks and then began to add to it. The modern world is, I've researched and made a point of researching the cutting edge studies support or question some of these traditional points of view. And I'll tell you that it's been remarkable the number of things that are happening right now, the studies that are coming out, and the things that would support what we've been taught. Guidance. Prophet ﷺ, for example, he said, seek knowledge to pray. It's an ongoing thing. It's a process that takes place every moment. People have come here, and so to learn, right? Maybe just to socialize too, which is all right, because in socializing we might even learn more than we would in class of didactic. What I'm saying here? And we realize by our unconscious faculties, they may often do by the words and so forth. So this vast reality, part of what happens is that it becomes mundane, it becomes routine. Part of my work in terms of doing my best to awaken, bring people, as my teacher put it, bring them back to life. So what do I mean by that, bringing someone back to life? A lot of it has to do with recovering the qualities we had as we were growing up. Throw out, shed the mask of taking for granted that obscures us in our ability to see the truth of what's happening. When we were young children, we were very much in our bodies. That's one of the things I stress, is that in the modern world, we're less and less in our bodies. What I do is enabling people to come back into You know this expression in English, it's called coming to your senses. We say, be sensible. But a lot of our sensibility is not just thinking or mental. Sensibility refers to us, it's your senses. The degree of the refinement and the development of our senses is so much more. And so when we discover how to come back to life, what we gain often, most typically what we gain, is a kind of enthusiasm. And the example I often give is my granddaughter, you know, not the inchworm, but the inchworm, you know what an inchworm is? Yes. The kind that move on the ground and they say, when she saw the inchworm first time, she jumped up and down. Look at that. Look at that. Look at it. It was. She ran and said, come and look at this, come and look at this. And this is part of our nature. So the enthusiasm is built into us until we have it knocked out of us, or until with so much difficulty in life, we shut it down. And that's why the great England said, to be or not to be. That is the question. We are to be present and to face and to overcome all of these events and these things that have happened to us that shut us down and maybe disable us from having enthusiasm. The word enthusiasm comes from the Greek word. Does anyone know that root of that word? No? You know. So, feels, it comes from this. It means to feel the presence of God. Enthusiasm. Be enthusiastic. It's one of the best medicines that you cannot find. No big pharmacy is bottling it at the moment. But enthusiasm, when we have it, when we have thankfulness, when we have that, something happens inside of us. We call it interoception. We call it, some people will call it neuroception. We perceive the world and the God's creation, and when we perceive it and what happens, then the next step inside us is significant and relevant to how this business, this machine works. We do good health, poor health, functions well, or it doesn't function well. For 40 years of practice, I've seen people who have attitudes. They have an attitude, thoughts and beliefs and feelings about life, the nature of the world, and pretty soon they embody it until it becomes, in many cases, malignant, it becomes pathological, and it becomes physical illness. But its roots and its beginnings were back there in their attitude or their anger that didn't quite resolve or work out, or the disappointment or the hurt they felt. And so understanding, I once gave a lecture, and the lecture title was How All Things Take Part in How We Are. When I became Muslim, I became Muslim in 1969. And the thing that was remarkable to me about Islam, first of all, were two things that were just remarkable to me in that event, in that time, becoming Muslim, was, first of all, the vastness of the sea of knowledge that Islam had. The scholars, there was so much material to study, it could be studied and studied and studied. And even the biggest scholars of this day, they're still doing that. They're still diving into this. And the second thing was the Muslims themselves. Because they were people that were not like people I had spent my life in Southern California with, for the most part, because they were people who stopped and thanked Allah, or they thank Allah in many cases, alhamdulillah, shukrillah, not just alhamdulillah, shukrillah, routinely, but most of us still goes that way. So Muslims that way, they say alhamdulillah, shukrillah, because they're just good Muslims. But also, we have this capability of really being thankful. Really being thankful and praising Allah for what He's created and what He's brought us. So, this nature that we have is understanding the nature of this thing we're in. I mean, we were placed in this body that we're in right now by Allah's command. When we answered Allah's question, Allah said, am I not your Lord? And our soul is placed in our body. And our soul has been in this body from that time. And I always say to people, I say, now, at this point in time, ask yourself, or ask your soul, say, soul, how is it for you? How is it, and how has it been what I've chosen to do, what I'm doing, how do I live my lifestyle? Am I being a human being? And how is it for you to here in this body that does not belong to us, it belongs to God? We are the renters, and our rent is the God. We know this is part of our belief system. But we forget it. We get caught up in the moment. We get caught up in these things that distract us. We get caught up in things that are not important. So it's talking about the perspective. You know, the long-term perspective is what we want to be able to realize. But we also have to be as human as we can to satisfy this. The metaphor I give, or the example I give, is a lion cannot behave like a sheep. So what is our nature as a human being? And we have, alhamdulillah, one of the things that we have for this that kind of goes beyond science and the studies. My wife said that we were having a discussion yesterday about this experience that we all know, that experience in which we, Quran has reference good and ayat, so those people, when they read an ayat, they're skimming through it. You know, my shaykh has a poem, he says in his poem, he says, oh, Allah send us that useful knowledge. It causes our skin to thrill and tears to flow. That state that we get in. And so she sent me this article, this is so classic of the scientists who studies things with such detail. And it was a study on what they call pillow erection. You know what that means? And so they would do this elaborate study. And while we do study things because it gives us some understanding of the nature of things and how humanity is better because it's not useless information. It's sometimes kind of overdone, like the study they did. It took 6 years. They studied in Europe the difference between breast milk and formula. And at the end of the 6 year study, many women will say, well, breast milk is better. You know, so, you know, I say, there's an expression in the US, I don't know if it's here, we say, duh. So I call that a duh. So we know people know that. So there are a lot of duhs like that. We can study, but it's better than studying it. It would be nice that we have these experiences because even in the study, they attributed this fact that happens to the state and sense of awe. Allah is awesome. Allah and Allah's, the more we can reflect that and we see the face of Allah and Allah's word and how He manages such complex realities as the world and the universe, let alone what happens inside us, which is, again, as I say, a mirror of that. How that takes place, if we really appreciate it, we should be, by our nature, in awe. What is it that brings awe? Interesting thing is a lot of written things, a lot of music brings awe. The study is one of the things that brings awe is typically certain kinds of music. So, in any case, that's another topic that I go into about music, why we're attracted to music, why we have music, why music was created, and how music represents our state. So, you know, I'm having these two days of workshop, and at that time we can go into more details about some of these things. But the pattern that is designed for us, the Prophet says in by Allah's command, He brought the guidance and set up and have that an ideal take place so that we could look to that as a model. And while we may not achieve that same model socially or even personally, we work in that direction. That's our aspiration. So one of the things I also stress about back to this in last week as in terms of hikmah, Sidi Hakim, we have to understand what is our true nature so that we can see what is our place here. If this is our true nature, then how are we doing? Same thing. We ask our soul, how am I doing? How are you doing in there? And if we study it and learn a lot about it, firstly, all I've seen 30 years, 40 years of studying this, all I see is more and more how far, not out of balance we are, not how far we've gone astray from our nature, but how it's almost fully upside down. It's so far removed from what our true nature is that we don't even recognize it anymore. Do you all know this what is it? Metaphor. This principle of the frog in water, the frog in boiling water. Some people are shaking their heads. For those of you who don't know, again, the scientists, they discovered this stuff. You know, we scientists, I should say, because we should be pluralists. We're all scientists of some kind. We're all artists of some kind. That's our nature, to have these qualities. Right brain, left brain. So we all have these qualities. If one of them is stronger than the other, we should ask ourselves. The frog story, a metaphor of analogy, is if you put a frog in cold water and bring it slowly to heat, it will stay in there and boil. If you put a frog into boiling water, it will jump out. So we have done the same through the years, generation after generation after generation. We have accepted, okay, this is not quite right, okay, and we'll learn to adapt. So we are adaptable. Traditionally, the Hakim say we have to recognize that a lot of places at the center of this creation. At the center of it, that does not place us necessarily in a higher place, but he also said that he enabled us to be his representative in his creation. Khalifa in his creation. So if we understand our centeredness not as one of superiority, but as one of responsibility, then we can begin to see we have responsibility to everything in this creation. Everything. And the difficulty of this disharmony, whether it's a disharmony in animals who no longer behave the way they were designed to behave by love, or the way we behave in ways that love in the way we design. And it's our responsibility to do our best individually and collectively to change that. And to be honest, like nowadays for all of you, but I know most of us, if we begin to look at the circumstances and the current situation, it's pretty daunting. It looks like, how can we repair this? And the kind of repair, we may not be able to bring it back to square one. We may not be able to bring back Medina in the time of the Prophet. We may not be able to bring that back. We can certainly bring it back in small microcosms socially. I think I tasted some of that true humanity when I arrived in the airport. All these people having such joy returning to their places. Friends were meeting, family were meeting, and there was tears, and joy and laughter. They were totally fully alive. And so, one of the things I recommend and I suggest is that every one of us, my teacher used this as I say, he uses this as the picture of coming back to life. Return back to life. And we know that we advise and counsel life is short. Every breath, every day, every moment, one person said, how many more springs will we see? How many more times in spring times? How many more sunrises will we see? It's limited. And we don't know it's limited because a lot of us in this hands. But while we're here, and when we have a disagreement or misunderstanding with our spouse or our family member, which will happen, the Quran doesn't say, if you forget. Remember, it says, when you forget. Because we are insan. We are designed that way. To forget, to lose our way. But one of the biggest things missing in the modern world in terms of art, basic nature, is this coming together. And being together. Not just for, we being together, the modern world has impacted us back to this principle, as Hakims, as anyone concerned with spiritual, emotional, mental, neurological health and well-being. We have to grasp the depth and the implications of what's happened in this point in time. How did we get here? How did we get to this place where we drive in these 2,000-pound pieces of metal at 60, 50 miles an hour, honking horns, spending hours in it sometimes? Or when I flew here, I'm so fascinated by the fact that we get into these metal constructions, and somehow lifts off the ground, travels through the air 30 miles. I mean, on one hand, it's awesome. It It's amazing, you know, and it's an amazing example in terms of understanding things elementally, in terms of earth, air, fire, water. It takes a lot of fire to get that much earth at high altitude. But, you know, asking ourselves and getting a perspective is sometimes different. Because we're like problem solution. The other thing that's happened, the other thing that I work on and specialize in is trauma. Trauma comes from the Greek word, it means to have an injury. To be injured. And trauma, I always use this, interesting. If we have a cut, it heals itself more or less depending on our own vital force and all these other things that develop our health and well-being, and we recover. We don't have to order the white blood cells to do this or anything else to take place. We don't have to consciously say, do this, do this, do this. It happens naturally. In our nature, when it comes to trauma, back to this topic of trauma, trauma used to be understood in the medical world as something physical injury. And then with feminist and women's movement, that term was moved out of this physical realm and into the psychological emotional realm, where trauma as a thing that happened in our childhood and past experiences back to Shakespeare, to be or not to be, because he said to be or not to be, that is the question. Is it nobler, he says, to stand in the face of the slings and arrows of life? And if they are not, in other words, we just succumb to it, or do we stand there and choose to be or not to be? So, you know, in trauma, and this is something I work with, help us understand the nature on a very physical level, the neurological aspects, what happens in our nervous system, and what happens socially with trauma, and the implications of that for our individually and collectively. Now, our lifestyle has changed dramatically in the 20th century. And the implications of that, I personally don't believe we would grasp for the most part, even though we refer to it. And we use this term stress. Let me give you a hint. I have these statements and principles that I call basic sort of principle statements. And I do this kind of like a headline, you know, so consider this. Anything that we perceive, anything that we take in, anything we take in anyway, whether it's as food, perception, experience, anything that we take in that we cannot assimilate or eliminate becomes a choice. Okay. One shaykh, he said, our path as Muslims is contained in extinction. In other words, when I became Muslim, one of the things I thought was remarkable when I became Muslim and I learned about them, all of the aspects of Islam, I said, wow, what an amazing religion this is. Not only teaches about the nature of God, become an inspiration, and how to behave, how to be with each other in His creation in the world, and these guidelines, but He even teaches us about what He did before you. You know, so with a sin, we eat food, we digest what we can, we take nutrition what we can, and hopefully we successfully eliminate that which we do not need through urine and feces, and we wash ourselves, and then we're out of there. Stingy is washing yourself out of the toilet. Stingy, I'm sorry, I'm not there. Because my colleagues sometimes I swear in Mexican style. So the point in the meeting, if you look at that from a metaphorical point of view, washing with water, pure water is water substance of the washing with clean water is wisdom, knowledge. Knowledge is compared to water tradition. The cleanliness, because it brings clarity, cleanliness, pure water. So that quality takes place in everything we experience. So we experience something that's very upsetting, we can't manage, we can't digest, we can't handle it. That's, they stay in our memory, in our system, seeking to be resolved for our entire life. So the understanding of how this works in the human being is significant because also that means we have things that happen to it. Let me also get back to the same. Anything we cannot digest, assimilate into the wholeness, or eliminate becomes toxic. The word tox is a great word. Anybody know that? It's probably not that common. It means the poison that's on the end of an arrow. And we can say that the poison on the end of an arrow is kind of ultimate kind of toxic experience. It goes in, difficult to digest. Although our system, our bodies, the doctors and physiology, the people in physiology here, know that our body will do its best to try to break it down, try to dissolve it, to do whatever, even sometimes send it to a place where it's going to be not as interruptive or toxic. But anything we cannot digest, assimilate or eliminate. Now, eliminating means it comes out through actual elimination or psychic and emotional elimination. And I don't just mean Freudian catharsis. Okay? Not just emotion, crying about or getting angry about past experience. It's something that's happened more deeply. It's a deep injury. And it's a deep experience that we haven't managed to digest it. You guys with me? Exactly. Okay, good. I don't know if this is so we experience not only individual trauma, birth is a trauma. Birth is a trauma. And trauma are the things that happen to us. Remember, we have a pattern. Everything in creation has a pattern in the way of behaving, from the tree to the stone to the human being. When I was in UC, when I was in California, Berkeley, in the film department, the most popular film there was a documentary called Baboon Social Behavior. And it was a study of this incredibly complex pattern that they have. They don't read an anthropologist's book to get that pattern. Right? Where do they get it? Natural nature. The same thing is true of us. So this nature that's in us is much greater than we realize. We have, for example, the new studies that are coming out. We have a natural impulse and inclination towards altruism, towards being kind to others, and being nice to others, and preferring that form of behavior. And these people that study, and these crazy scientists, they study things that seem like, well, that's kind of clinical, isn't it? And this is something they understand, just feel. Yes, but we also want to have some solid data, evidence-based, that they use that term, as we can, to support. But they discovered that even a child that's very, very young, just crawling, toddler, they have these natural impulses towards altruism, caring for the one who is more for the one who's being good and has good behavior to them that's not. In many cases, the point is all these things are built into us. Nowadays, with the internet, there's more and more of these videos. I don't know if you've seen them. These things that fly in the face of this sort of stereotyping of animals. Animals are also born with a love design, and in that design is a great deal of kindness because they're mammals. All mammals, all of us mammals, and all of the mammals we have certain characteristics and qualities in common. The more we understand that, if we study these things, we'll be studying ourselves. No, it's no accident that Allah placed all these animals in His creation. It's not just by accident. But what's interesting is, in traditional cultures, especially very much earth-based cultures that interact and have a connection with the animal world, those people, they understand, they honor these animals in a way that indicates the way in which they learn from these animals. They learn about our nature. The Apostle he said, there's goodness, but before all the horse, and then the really beautiful thing added to that. He said, what are horses? What? The forelock of the horse. There's goodness in the horse. The horse, to ride a horse, to be with a horse, how many have spent time with ride horses? But you know what happens. The horse knows your state. True? Yes. And that interaction and learning how to ride a horse and learning that state, learning how to have that interaction is a metaphor for us to understand this, our horse, Jim Machiavelli says, if we're wise people, humans, we learn how to write it and how to understand its nature so that we can get from point A and point B with it. So it doesn't buck us off. That's out of control emotions. We see it as a metaphor. It doesn't run towards a low-hanging limb to knock us off. So self-destructive behavior, or it doesn't just sit there and not move to depression. You see what I mean? Now that we learn about this source of our being, our animal nature, and then we know what it means to have vitality, to have life, to have enthusiasm, and then in turn, as humans with Bhagyan, to have our ability to articulate, to have permanent children. And all of that determines what takes place in this thing. And it's the thing one poet said, this soul likes to dress up in 10 fingers and 10 toes. So I say we've not appropriately recognized the implication and the impact. I have a friend, very dear friend, who's a psychotherapist. And she wrote a book, years ago, her name is Chalice Leonard. And she said the book's title is, "My name is Chalice, and I'm in recovery from Western civilization." And she's a brilliant psychotherapist. And all the writings that she made are really beautiful things. But that concept, and I learned a lot from her through the years about her point of view. But we not only recognize in ourselves what's happened to us in our lifetime, in terms of the events and things that have taken place, things we know about, because just to know about something and not even experience it directly can be a traumatic experience that may be hard to overcome. In fact, it may be harder to overcome than actually being in a situation. Case in point would be the Vietnam War. The Vietnam veterans, the number of people who committed suicide at their own hand after the war, they know these figures. I've checked these figures 3 times because I couldn't believe it. More than people who died in the war. I mean, wait. I can't be right. I'm bad. And then I just got another thing. The people who were victims of that self-destruction, they had such trauma inside that they could not digest it. It drove them to these unnatural things, taking their own life. They were not people in the field in battle, they were people at the desks. Seeing the person the impact. They were maybe seeing it in the periphery of it, but they knew about it, they were involved in it. And so, in many cases, trauma is greater for the person who knows about the trauma and experiences it not in their bodies, because when we're in our bodies, all sorts of things that allow us to sign in us. The chemistry of the body, the hormones, all these things that place are active, and they're dealing with this ongoing situation in the moment that helps us to manage it better than if we hear about it and it goes in and it's kind of like insidious rather than escalating. Does that make sense? It's a strange thing, but we understand now the same when we read something or hear something or when we tell something, speak something, that we relive it at some level in our being, our whole system, and so part of the new approach to trauma. I mean, the popular approach to trauma is often when you've had a trauma, we need to talk about it at some point. But the reason we need to do that is because we need to connect with another person. That is part of all the animals are animal nature. They all connect. Every mammal that's born does not have to be instructed on where to find rest. We know where it is. I mean, that's built into us. And it's built into us to seek that comfort and that relief and that safety in life. Completion, to develop our resilience on the earth. Trauma is something that happens to us that we cannot digest and assimilate. It's also something that's designed to take place that we don't. So trauma is what happens to us, and it's what does not happen to us, and that's sometimes one of the worst kinds of trauma. So what do I mean by that? Trauma is what happens to us. So one of the things about these C-sections in which the normal process passing to the breakout and all that happens, and that's all the things, all the chemistry that happens to both the mother and the baby. That happens. That can be an empty space. It's trying to be for sure. Not sucking in the breast, but sucking in the bottom. That's something that doesn't happen. So the nervous system around here, particularly really important nerve, it goes from the base of the brain to the entire body called the vagus nerve. It does not get stimulated in the way it does with natural sucking with a real mother. So things that happen to us and things that don't happen to us. The other really striking and difficult one is they naturally, as babies, through our entire life, we want connections. The most difficult and obvious one, most obvious other is the mother. My other, and my other, mother. And others, and we all have the same thing. This is a peculiar human quality in which we begin to develop the inner senses of ourselves, and it's in the reproduction. The tradition, people don't even consider the traditional Hakim. Most people know he was Sidi Hakim, is best known. His text, Qanun, was used in Europe and in England longer than any other text in the history of medicine in England and in Europe. And his picture, his face is still on the seal of the British Pharmaceutical Association. So he made smart, but he spoke about this thing about how when a baby's born, we all know this. When we see a little baby and it's really young, even newly born, maybe an hour, 2 hours old, we go, hey, we try to reach out, make them, we raise the voice, we don't because we know the higher pitch, higher notes, but we say it, hear more responsive until we get somebody loved, and then we're happy. Like we're fulfilling our mammalian nature to do that. Now, if there's endless things like this as we learn about being a human being that we can discover that are remarkable. One of the biggest ones is this thing about this. Like we say, mammals all have a design in terms of the social structure. We design to get together, to eat together. Someone asked him, what is the best dish? Meaning, I think the question is, what's the best food to eat? What's the best dish? And what did he say? The one that has the most hands in it. Exactly. And, when I became Muslim and I went to Morocco, because in Morocco it's very popular to eat that way. I said, oh, this is it. And so my children were raised. But because something happens when we do that, we eat together. Something unique. And there's one of the things that one sheikh said, he said that the flood in the time of Noah was a flood of water. And he said the flood in our times is separation between us. And that separation, okay, we have a session tomorrow, or tomorrow maybe, on social media and the technology, all of these things. Someone said, were opposable thumbs created for this? Yeah. Bitter and truth there. Yeah, it seems that for some. So that flood of separation has become great, and this is not how automobiles have not helped. Automobiles have taken us further. When I was at my daughter's college, she's going to university. I walked with her to the parking lot to her car, and I was looking at the license plates, and they were all from out of state. And I said, Latifa, I haven't seen one car that's from Mexico. She said, Dad, part of going to college is to go away from your family. I want to go somewhere else to make that break. And that is a spiral, and sometimes it's needed. It's needed without any fault to the parents, but it's needed in this nature. I emphasize so much the nature of this current reality in which there is not what was traditionally in place in the previous century, centuries and centuries and centuries before that, in which we had a family, an extended family. We had a community in the neighborhood, like a neighborhood even. We knew people, we walked from place to place. They came into our house. We went into their houses. We knew them. We knew the ones that were pleasant. We knew the ones that were unpleasant, and we had patience with them. And then we had larger communities, and there was a coherence. And there was something that takes place when we spend time together with each other, and we all recognize this. Something more happens than just the words. There's something deeply. I suggest, and really my teacher taught me this, he said, our livers work better when we spend time with other people and we share even what we call small talk. In the small talk, there is so much more than the data and the words. Right brain, left brain principles, right brain, etc. Because we learn from the time we're born, our right brain begins learning. Babies, pre-fertile, and young people. Children have immense wisdom. They have immense wisdom. I was talking about this yesterday or at one point. I was saying how much I've learned from young children. And wisdom comes forth if we give them a chance. And we recognize how they have this innate, because they're learning something more subtle than words. They're learning from feeling, right brain experiences. They're learning from the prosody of the other's voice. They're learning from the face of the other's voice. They're learning from the tone, from the melodic prosody of what's being said. And they take that in and learn from it, and it builds a kind of wisdom that they use or they don't use, depending. It can be malignant, of course. It can be malignant from adults and things around them, in which there's anger. The child doesn't understand it, etc., etc., etc. But when we're back to this principle of trauma from what we experience, if we're abused, and that's what the neglect, and those we're not paying attention to, that's even more severe trauma, harder to heal. And when we have not had a strong connection of some kind, that's very severe kind of consequences potentially. Now, the lost genes. I know people who grew up without parents, without mothers, they were orphans, and the Quran refers in that ayat, the Prophet did we not find you as an orphan? Allah is generous. And I know someone who grew up without a mother, and she didn't even know that her mother had died until her schoolmates told her. She didn't know that. And so she struggled with many, but now she's understanding and she's discovering that Allah in His motherness, which is heaven, is more halim than our own mothers. He provided in His creation that quality of motherness that He can take it, we can become. And when it comes to the trauma and difficulties that have happened to us, one of the things that's is Allah does not sentence us to what's happened to us. He challenges us, but it's not a sentence because He is forgiving in all the difficulties we've had and the traumas we've gone through and all the struggle we've gone through. That is, in fact, when we learn how to understand it, accept it, and digest it, or assimilate it into the whole, it becomes a resource for us. It becomes a means of compassion, of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that we probably would not have had we not gone through that experiential reality. I say this, and most people work in therapy, and most people with emotional difficulties, most of them have gone through some kind of healing of that, and they want to reach out and help others. And I can say to myself, we can't measure the degree of suffering we've all gone through, difficulty, and the anger that comes from suffering is part of our animal nature too. There's a poem about the sister of hurt and brother of rage, and how they're always together. They're always together. To be hurt brings anger naturally. All animals, even the most loyal animal, will become angry if he's hurt. And so beginning to understand these more subtle things and seeing how modern science is, particularly in the neurological fields, the biological fields, all these different things. Beginning to see how these studies support an understanding that we had in the past, maybe to a greater degree. I love Mark Twain. People know Mark Twain. He's an American humorist. One of his lines was, he says, "Isn't it amazing how all of the ancients were able to steal secrets from us modern people?" And we tend to look at it that way. We tend to look at, I'm discovering this. Oh yeah, well, It was in this, it was in that. So, and I'd like to take a lot of the hadith and a lot of the ayahs on and try to see how they represent and how they have meanings. You know, not as tafsir, but just as an understanding of the metaphor, whatever it might be, and how that relates to our being. So, so getting to our true nature is getting to our true self. One of the things that one of my teachers taught very strongly was we have this soul that's placed in us. And then we have in the next stage of our kind of being what used to be called the vital force. The Ilan Vital, the vital force, the doctors here. Vital force isn't discussed much anymore, is it? Sorry, yes. And we'll get that to, that's the wisdom of homeopathy. Hanuman, by the way, you know, he said he discovered homeopathy only because, you know what he said? He said only because he believed in the mercy of God. My teacher said, medicine, the core of medicine, he said, whatever kind of medicine you practice, medicine is the honoring and respect of the Rahman. Because there's Rahman, understanding, there's Rahman in the illness, there's Rahman in the recovery, and there's Rahman in the result. And he believed in that. And so he studied it, and it was valedictorian in his speech to his graduating class at the medical school was the wonderful structure of the human hand. And each time he said, praise God for the fact that he would go to praise God, but he was all praise. And when he was in Austria, you know the story about when he was in Austria, his name was Christian. He was 85 and he married a 35-year-old woman from Paris. And he moved to Paris and he changed his name from Christian to Samuel. And in the estate, his estate, they found a Quran. To see.
Because he went to, they say he went to Sufi masters. Because he took from alchemy also, which I said was.
Well, he took from, he was fluent in Arabic, 9 languages, and he studied traditional Arabic pharmacy, and that's where he got his method for preparing his medicines, was from the Arabs, 13th century. The homeopaths, most of the homeopaths are not of the Muslim homeopaths. So it wasn't just about them. Those people that.
No, but he was interested in all that, and they say he got a lot of his knowledge from Sufi masters.
Well, I don't know about direct contact, but he did read Arabic, so that might be the case. But in any case, the point I was making is that the vital force. And but recently, it's interesting to me that recently, just in the past 15 years, the term vital force, vitality, we say, well, this is good for you, it'll increase your vitality. This is good to boost your vital force. It'll, you know, it'll do all these things. And now what we do is, what's the new term? It's immunity. And that came in with AIDS. It was only when AIDS came. And interestingly enough, one of the masters of homeopathy, Marvel, George Focus from Greece, he wrote about 10 years before AIDS was identified, and he said, because of the way we treat the disease, we will see soon a disease and an illness which the immune system totally breaks down. But was at least 10 years before the virus recognized. People say, well, this will boost your immunity. And my thought is, well, I don't want to boost my immunity. I want to boost my vitality. I want to be alive. I don't want to be immune to things. I want to be engaged. I want to be going further and more deeply into life and exchange, being alive. One of my teachers said, this healing is about coming back to life, kind of life we have youth, and recovering it. And when we recover our vitality of youth, that enthusiasm, we can do it in the setting of this now, hopefully, savvy adult that can protect that child with all of its sensitivity and can manage itself, how to child alive, and informing this adult that becomes jaded and maybe, you know, or dissociate. That's the modern. Our survival level of our being is fight, flight, and freeze. Everybody learns this in school more or less. Sometimes they focus mostly on fight or flight. But the freeze mechanism is the one Shakespeare referred to, where we just shut down, we just don't experience much. And as we don't experience much in terms of many things, we lose our sense of sensibility and enjoyment when we learn to turn from fear. You know, we also turn from other feelings that are not negative, but are, you know, positive. So coming back to life means coming, you know, finding the means by which we can feel safe. And this whole, I can talk about, I'll talk more about this in the next 2 days. Safety is one of the key pieces. To feel safe and sound. And that's needed for all mammals. To feel safe and sound. And, you know, ideally when we're born, we come into this world that's not like the mother's womb, which is a kind of safety and soundness depending on what's going on. Because even then, what the mother's going through, every word she speaks, we hear, because the first sense that we develop in her womb is hearing. And we hear, and our muscle groups, and our body responds to the phonemes from the mother, and it sets up a pattern. You know, in Africa, there was a tribe who used to do this, they still do it, I'm not sure. But they would have, in the 9 months of pregnancy, the mother would compose a song, and each month would have a line of the song, and would sing that so the baby could hear it. And then at the end of that time, the song was completed, and that was the baby's song. And when the baby then was born, the community would come together to sing that baby's song. And if the child was ill or had difficulties, this is deep wisdom, deep psychology, deep wisdom and psychology to me. The community comes together and they all sing this person's song. So,
if the child was ill,
sorry?
If the child was ill, they would sing it again. If the child got ill, they would sing it again.
They would sing it if it was ill or having difficulties or if it needed it. And how effective that is, we don't know, but I think there's a lot of research in it. Some people have researched sound and hearing with amazing kind of discoveries. We don't ordinarily account for. You know, there are people, I always read them on YouTube. You can watch this film, her name is Evelyn Glennie. Anybody know Evelyn Glennie?
The one that hears the sound with the signal.
That person who was knighted by the queen or whatever the woman is. Did they get knighted? I don't know. They become a lady. Evelyn Glennie. E-N-N-Y, I think. Evelyn Glennie, and she plays music, and she teaches music, but she does it with, takes her shoes off first. I'm sorry? I'm sorry?
This goes in line with music therapy?
Yes.
Because now induced
It does, and you know, and then there's, in terms of hearing, there's the echolocators. I don't often mention them. People know the echolocators? They're usually they're mostly teenage boys. You know about that. Originally, it was maybe 10 or 12 years ago, something like that. This young man was blind, and he learned to navigate like by wind. And he learned that, and he could ride a bicycle down a busy street in New York City. Because he could tell where his cars, he could tell where his building there, and he taught others, so there's maybe 5, 6 echolocators.
detect the vibration.
Yes.
Sonar.
It's like radar, sonar. It's like what the bats do. But again, the traditional view of the Hakims is we're placed at the center of our creation, and we have the qualities of all that he's placed around us. That's the kind of responsibility we have. It should turn into care for all this. You know, in other words, we have an aspect of that. You know, I was just reading yesterday about this young boy who he's an English boy, and he rode in an airplane, in a helicopter for 45 minutes, and he drew from memory the entire city.
He's autistic, I think.
Well, I mean, call it what you will, but he's got an extraordinary memory.
I heard about it.
And so, the thing is, Allah created us in varying shapes and sizes and things. Is that he never, we say he never abrogates an ayat without replacing something more. We can interpret that in terms of if there's a defect in something, there will be an excess in something. There will be balance there, and often this is the gift that comes later.
There was this American woman, a homeopath, Robin Murphy, and I don't know if you know him.
Who?
Robin Murphy.
Oh yeah, I know Robin Murphy. Yeah.
So Robin introduced us to an American lady who thought she had tinnitus when she was young. When she was with a person, she would hear what she called the missing note. There was a vibration that she could hear, and when they measured, they saw that she was like animals. She could hear the very high and very low. And then, after reading a lot about music and the planets, because the intervals between the planets is the same as the musical notes, and this is how the universe does them, she said, well, if I give that note to that person, if he's ill, will it do something? And she had amazing healing happening.
And this is similar to the research I was mentioning with this man in France did very detailed research, studies on what happens when we hear and when we speak, and what happens to the vibrations, how it invades our body, travels to the roof, invades everyone else's, and our pores. So it's not just here that we're hearing things, but it's our entire body. And recently the studies are that the body also smells in all other locations besides the nose. The nose is the central place, but particularly the kidneys sense smell more than other organs in the body. So, this is these kind of new studies that come out that are saying, whoa, that kind of shatter a kind of rigid understanding of this whole business of the body. So, I'm not sure, how are we for time?
It's been an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay.
I think we will be time for questions.
Yeah, okay, so let me just add, and we can have some discussion. Whatever your age, whatever our age may be, the Prophet he said, seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. He didn't mean get more data information. He meant real knowledge. The knowledge is, we could say, the knowledge of God or reality, but it's also the indication of genuine knowledge is that we change. Happens to us if it's real, genuine, and deep wisdom and knowledge. It'll change us. I mean, I know people, for myself, I remember there are books I've read, changed my life. There's people I've met, they changed my life. There's events I've gone through. So, what Allah has commanded, everything that's happened to us is by His command. Nothing happens without it. But He is generous, and He does not sentence us, but He does challenge us to move towards fulfillment, completion, change in all the factors. And all I want to say is this: total, dramatic change is possible if you set yourself on that goal, even whatever age you may be, whatever condition you may have, whatever situation. the consequences of diabetes instead of healing and gaining my youth and my vitality. And all the things that go with that, or all the things that are absent with that illness, because it's going up in numbers across the world. So, change can be done. Just take some inspiration. We can, tomorrow I'll get into like strategies for it, the next couple of days, strategies for change. One of the things that's really dramatic in terms of enabling us to change is support from one another in this project. Any kind of support we do, and anything we do together in a group, commit to doing that as a group, even if it's 3 people. Even if it's 2 people, better with 3. Everything's better with 3 people plus. But we have to strategize against this thing of being in a state of, the dormitive state, as they call it, kind of sleeping, oh well, tomorrow maybe. You know, and as our mortality approaches, sometimes that's not enough. You know, how many people I've met and they're on their deathbed and they say, I know what's taken me to this, but I don't want to bother changing. So much more is possible, yes. 5 minutes. Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry there's not more time for discussion. So what do you think? What's your feeling about what I've just... Yeah.
I have a question, and then we open the floor for Q&A. So
Oh, okay. Well, let's just open it now. Yeah.
You mentioned Freud. You mentioned Freud at one point in your speech.
Yes.
And, it's a personal opinion. I do not like Freudian's outlook on like psychoanalysis and how he tries to define everything in his own perspective and in his own like experiments per se. But like, what can we actually take from him as a scholar or a person who changed a lot in the field of psychology?
Yes.
And philosophy.
So what can we take from Freud? And with due respect, he had some things, admittedly, he himself admitted he had several very important things wrong. Intrinsic altruism. We're basically designed to be good beings. And he didn't kind of believe that until the end of his life. But what we can take from him is this understanding that there's things that happen to us and that drive us that are unconscious. We believe that. We believe in tazkiyat al-nafs. The Quran says, Allah says He wants for us purification of the self. What are we purifying? What are we purifying? Is it just our blood? Is it just sorry?
Our heart?
Well, our heart, but is it just this? You know, the Prophet ﷺ, when he said, in the body there's an organ, when that organ is sound, the body is sound. So on one hand, when he said that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's indicating the centrality of the heart and the importance of it, but he's also saying they're irrevocable, they're a whole. You know, when one is sound, the other is sound. Or we could look at it that way at least. So what we're purifying from my point of view side in terms of trauma is we're purifying all the things that obscure our first nature. Bullies today, I asked this young man, you know, we were talking about bullying. I said, well, why do people bully? And he said, because they were bullied. You know, so what are we purifying in that case? We're either assimilating that experience, and we begin to understand that something about the nature of a person. When a person is hurt, they will hurt. So, you know, at least there's some compassion possible in recognizing this behavior is coming out of hurt. Maybe it's inaccessible. Their hearts, as we put it, and we use that term, you know, for this organ here, but we always use it as the core of our being, you know, the heart of our being. So I'm sorry, you're going to say?
I forgot.
Yeah.
You were talking about the importance of eliminating.
Say again?
The importance of eliminating.
The importance of?
Eliminating.
Of elimination.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And so how should we do this elimination?
Well, again, elimination physiologically happens by eating, digesting, and eliminating by many things, not just urine and feces, through the breath, through the skin, through all the mucus release. And we eliminate also on, we could say, a neurological level, the energy of the nervous system. We release that by deep discharge, not catharsis. Now the thing that Freud, back to Freud, catharsis is release.
Like anger or crying or like poetic.
But it's not necessarily healing. It can be, but more typically it's superficial. It's more like reiterating the emotional level and the feeling level, which establishes it more soundly. Does that make sense anyway?
Yes, because it's like, it's almost like he talks about it in a sense of balance, where if you shift to one side and you have a catharsis, it does not shift it to the other side, just shifts it to the middle. And so that's
an interesting viewpoint, too. Yeah. And whatever the catharsis is about, I'm angry on what's the other aspect that needs to have balance there. But there's ability, I mean, again, the modern approach in some of my teachers, one of my teachers in particular, he learned the nature of releasing trauma from a very deep place from animals and nature. And this is very much within the model of Hikmah. You know, my teacher said we learn from Allah's creation. And he learned in the forest. So the animals in particular, they release in a particular way. And he discovered, found the examples in practice now. This model is flooding the entire scientific world, from education to social work, to medicine, et cetera, et cetera. And that we have as mammals these very specific physiological things that we go through. So when the gazelle is caught by the lion and dragged away, and the lion is distracted for a moment, and the gazelle has the opportunity to get up and run. That's its flight mechanism. It's still functioning. It gets up and runs. Then it doesn't have to go to the gazelle therapist, but its body goes through very physiological processes that release. Now we've learned how, and this is the work I do, we've learned how to elicit that same kind of release without going to the subject matter. We don't need to go to the subject matter. Allah gave us the propensity and the capabilities of healing without having to tell a story. And that's why this method is so in line with our Islamic understanding that we don't retell these stories that are, because every time we retell a story, we're reliving it exactly to some degree, and we are establishing it as a reality more soundly. Now, the other thing that was learned from the animals in nature, and I have a video that I often give to my clients I work with, because that gazelle, it didn't need to go to the gazelle therapist. It ran, first of all, and then it went through the process of shaking off, and the skin shakes, and all these very particular physiological things take place in which that trauma is released. And the animals in nature, particularly the big animals, if they don't go through that process, they're not likely to survive. And that's a key. Sorry?
Are you going to tell us more about this?
I can tell more about the method, but also there's, like I said, there's more and more practitioners, and there's many Muslims are now learning this method because it's a basic hikmah, it's a wisdom of healing that's important for us. Because it does have that capability. Now, this other video I was talking about is a video in which this impala was been caught by a leopard, and the leopard is there with his mouth on the neck, ready to kill it. And the leopard, the impala, has not been able to flight, and so it went into the freeze mode. In the freeze mode, it looks like it's dead. It's just lying there, it's unmoving. You can't see any breath. It's just. We all have that capability. We do it to some degree with life. We shut down and we become, it's no accident they make these movies over and over about the living dead, the zombies, it's a kind of metaphor of like what's happening in culture, what's happening to society at large. But this impala then, what happens is the baboons come and chase this leopard away. And the impala lies there for a bit. And then somewhere it realizes that it's no longer under threat. And so the next step, it starts to breathe. Then it breathes more, and more. Sorry?
And she dies.
And then what she does, she breathes more and more, and then suddenly she sits up, and her body goes through this very dramatic shaking because the trauma is so great. And we see this when we do therapy. People will go through tremoring, shaking, sometimes very violent shaking before they come back to life and start breathing, and then they report things like, I feel like I've lost myself, but I'm beginning to regain myself. Kind of things. So there's a wisdom in this. It's very beautiful too to see this happen. People coming back. So, sorry. Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know that. Sometimes we don't know that we didn't digest something. Like we're not aware that we didn't digest it. How should we be aware of that?
Well, first of all, Allah is asabur. That means He times everything perfectly. Sometimes things are too soon, sometimes too late, later, and we want. But things come out when, by the design, things often come forth in memory when we have the capacity to deal with it and not before that. So part of what we do in the trauma work is enabling people to develop ways in which they build the capacity in their physical body, in their nervous system, their sensibilities to manage whatever might come up. Because again, back to the Freudian talk method is, well, how did it feel like that? And kind of in your face proportions these things to come out, and when I started this work, I had people who come to me and they would say to me, I remember one woman, she said, well, I just came from my therapist. I'm a writer. And I said, well,
So that you realize how.
oh, sorry. The woman, this is a typical thing. She says, I just came from my therapist and I'm a writer. And I think, wait a minute. What's this therapist doing? Is it therapy or is it kind of unconscious? And maybe not intentional. But it's kind of functioning because we living and going back to it. And I say, well, how long have you been doing it? 13 years. And so we would do respect because they also do very good work from somewhere. Catharsis works. Sometimes the story needs to be told. Sometimes good results come from that. But as Muslims, we want to look deeper than that. We want to look at this ways in which we don't have to reiterate and retell these stories. And we'd rather not even speak and inspire that to know. And Allah's generous enough. I have couples that come to me and say, well, this person was married before and so, that old thing, so we say, should we talk about this experience they had? And I said, well, it's not necessary. You have everything you have right now within you and not in the story. So we have this ability to tell stories, and it has a value, especially when it moves us, and we have this getting thrills, and we awaken from those stories. And we're storytellers. We've been telling them for centuries and centuries and centuries. Back to the hunter-gatherers who did that. So, I'm sorry, what was the question? Yeah, did that answer that question? Oh, how do we know that it's happening? Well, I mean, that's a good question. The therapist, we know without the words to describe these things about each other. Because we have when we meet people, we get a sense of authenticity or of strangeness or something that seems to be out of place. The communication might be more difficult. We know so much more about each other beyond words, beyond the obvious, because of our animal nature. We have dogs. We all know there are dogs that can spell cancer before it can be found clinically. Even with high resolution imaging, the dogs can smell it, right? Medical people know this. And I've met people that have the dogs that they just travel with, and the dog will alert them to them. So we have dog capabilities, sensibilities. We can develop our sensibilities. Sidi Hakim said that the Prophet ﷺ was the most sentient of human beings. He felt more than other people. He had more sensibility in that way. And as a result, he was able to have the compassion and the forbearance for whoever came to him. Whatever condition, whatever misbehavior he might have had. We're not so good at that. We say, oh, I don't know, there's something weird about that person. And I just didn't, it seems, it's been really like that. In Mexico, what the style, the social style is, people, when you meet new people, they're very gruff. Yeah. When you're very hard on the outside. But it's a style in which, it's kind of like saying, okay, do you stay with me? And that's better than, having the hardness inside. So I would appreciate that, but a lot of people don't. And they're like, I don't think that person likes me. Why is it? No, I just don't like them. So in the traditional model in the village, there would be people that you didn't like, and you might have to work with them, and you learn how to be with them. And then maybe, like Allah's grace and mercy, maybe that person, maybe one day they sit down and say, and they open up, and the connections made. It wasn't there before. But nowadays, we do the same thing happens in unfortunate marriages. People come to me and they say, well, we're just so different. And I said, no, that's what you want. You want that. That's the gift of marriage. Because that's the chance to learn from each other and change from each other. And as Quran says, this communities and tribes, to get to know each other. No accident that the Prophet says it's half of the deed. But we don't do it, and we're not given the mechanisms and the tools necessarily that can bring that about easily. So
I have 3 questions. First one, since Madame mentioned about frequency,
yes.
certain frequencies and different ways. So I'm really curious to know, in meditation, there's different mantras.
Yes.
People say this is the first sounds of creation and all that. So people will do up with certain mantra, a frequency to use their body. This never fullness, this I just would like to know. How about if we just choose the name Allah? Because this Allah says,
if we want to again?
what?
Choose the word Allah as a mantra.
But it is
As a vibration for the way, isn't it like he has vibrations?
Well, this is a prescription given by many trio teachers.
What's your emphasis about the mantras that people use?
So mantra, that's a term used for the Hindu version of it. But the sound. There's a lot of discussion and a lot of agreement and disagreement about these things. There's a lot of discussion and agreement and disagreement with different groups, but it is, the Allah, the recitation of it, not as a mantra, but as a dhikr. And there's different ways. From my teacher, from my shaykh, I learned two or three different ways of reciting Allah. But when we recite that, if we recite it aloud, our body hears it. There's a woman, that same woman who wrote the poem I referred to earlier. She has a poem about being in the forest and taking some water from the spring that's coming out. And she drank the water, and she said she drank this water, and suddenly she heard her bones speak. And her bones said, "What was that wonderful thing that just happened?" But our body, and so likewise, when we say, people say, "Well, I'm just not good at that. I'm such a slouch. I just don't." And we talk beratedly about ourselves. And they say, "No. Your body, if your brain and your heart's not hearing, your liver is hearing, your bones are hearing. Don't speak that way. You need to, because you are you are built in a noble form, and that's what Allah designed. And you want to maintain that, and you want to sustain it, and you want to respect it as a renter who take care of the living. And that means be present. You have to be present. So part of what this in my work is learning how to be present with yourself in your body, and not that as a final goal, but that as a servant of Allah, and as one when they stand and say Allahu Akbar, they go. They're actually more experientially submitting to Allah's.
Does the word Allah heal?
Sorry?
Does you say the word Allah?
Does it heal?
Does it heal?
No, absolutely can, of course it can. Quran especially also Because we need to get this more, I can go into more detail about this. The new research, this extraordinary thing that, I was lecturing about almost 20 years ago, and I was kind of just referring to it. Mostly that's the polyvagal. Who knows polyvagal? Polyvagal? Polyvagal. The vagus nerve, the vagus nerve. But now the new research is the polyvagal theory, which it indicates so strongly with lots and lots of evidence by someone who's studied for many, many, many years. In fact, his wife discovered oxytocin. You know oxytocin? And worked with oxytocin. But the polyvagal nerve, it goes from the brain, and it regulates and interacts with the combination of the breath and the heartbeat, which are rhythms. They're frequencies. And Quran Tajweed recited aloud by Allah's design, it exercises that you need this much breath for this ayat, and so on. And then the sounds that are made, this is by Allah's design. Quran is a healing. It's more healing when it's recited as it is a Quran, it is a recitation. So in individual things, Allah, some of the Sufi sheikhs will give particular prescriptions for particular things. So my sheikh taught at least 4 different ways of reciting Allah, in different circumstances, at different times of the day, and so forth.
Share with us.
Share
The phrase.
only Allah's. Well, the one that one does for the long extended periods, and maybe does in retreat, like a halwa, would be we call it the Ismail Azam, the great name. Have some between standing up in front of a group of people. It's the kind of thing you want to do, alone, but it's a full breath and a full exhalation of the breath. So it's Allah. When we breathe in, our nervous system activates, our musculature contracts, even the capillaries. When we breathe out, we want to let go. The nervous system discharges. What you call the sigh of relief. It happens all the time. Or it doesn't if we're only breathing that much. Well, I'll get into this more tomorrow or the next day. Then the other one he taught is something that we do for and improve, which is, and when we do a factor between the sunnah and the fard, and it's part of a longer figure. But let's see if I can recall it, because it's usually done with the Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-azim, Astaghfirullah, Allah. From Astaghfirullah, Allah. And if it's a group, then as I change the tone from and others do sort of overlaps. So it's like this cascading of the Allah. Very, very beautiful, especially the Fajr. And then the other one is what they call Ismail Farid. Ismail Farid is unique, but that's also got to improve. And that's one that when we speak, the respiration, our body wants to be in harmony. It's always seeking to be in harmony. So if we say, like a heartbeat, the same, and it impacts the heart with the same rhythm. Our heart will entrain with that. So pretty soon our hearts will be beating in unison with that. And if we're doing it together, what's very beautiful about that, if you do it together and you keep your ears and your sensibilities together to be part of the group, at some point, in some cases, what suddenly happens is the entire room's hearts entrain and beat with someone suddenly, and then suddenly with this big resonant sound that's coming from the entire group. It's very beautiful, but it's in training the hearts. And then after we've been training the hearts, then guess what happens? Right? Huh?
The soul lies.
Exactly. There's something, then there's connection and there's something great. Because when our heart's in training, that's when the kind of safety, sense of safety comes about with us and with each other. Because even though we get to know each other, there's always remnants of this animal nature is still wanting to be protected, especially in the modern world.
So that was my second question.
Safety.
Sorry,
Yeah, I think I'm trying to spread it around so you can respect you.
First, 4 years ago, I read a book that changed the course of my life. I read a book
that changed your life.
changed my life very much. Masters from Meaning. I got the Victor Frank.
Yes, fine.
So, these the trauma and these the threat of death. And they say that instead of the person that goes to the therapist and tells the therapist what hurts him, the therapist asks the patient questions, tough questions, that let her think and find answers to them. Such as what's the purpose of his life, what's the meaning for his life, what's the meaning for your suffering, where do you see yourself in later in your life. I have a question maybe I was able to find a meaning for my life, but I was unable to find until now a meaning for my suffering. So how does a person, how can a person regarding, I don't know if you know the book.
I know that book.
How can a person find meaning for his suffering as a way to deal with the trauma?
Well, because one thing I would say, first of all, is the way we find an answer to that question, why has this happened, is in the self, from the self. In the self, from the self. And then there's this not going to be by something someone wrote, try to something tells you. You may understand it intellectually, but in the end, for that to actually come about, you have to discover that in yourself. And the wisdom in yourself and the natural inclination for wholeness and integrity is good thing for us. But we have to develop it or to recover it sometimes because we become fragmented. So you discover and you find it. But that finds, some people find it through meditation, just by sitting being. You know, these people that have been in, I remember hearing this interview with this man who was wrongfully put in prison for 20 years. There were many people like this. And then they found out, well, they made a mistake. Sorry. And they said, well, 20 years in prison, and many of those years you were in solitary. And are you angry about this? I said, no, I'm not angry. He said, Jim, no, I'm not angry. And he said, how can you not be angry? And he said, if you stay alone in a place for 20 years and with yourself and nothing else, you will learn things about yourself. So what I'm saying is that answer is in you. That answer is in you. But this is also in our Aqidah. We have beliefs that Allah's Rahmah precedes His wrath. But again, if you hear those things, it's not the same as getting it and knowing it from a deep place inside. And that comes from knowing yourself. When it goes inside, knows His God, knows His Lord. That's happy.
I have a question about the trauma. Do you deal with it like how it resonates in your body and then you amplify it? Is this how you
The method is basically learning how to pay attention to, again, like I say, Allah provided us with millions of sensory nerves. And the most sensitive are these, like at the fingertips, certain parts of the body are very highly sensitive. And sensitive by that, I don't mean like delicate and vulnerable, but sensitive in terms of information. So that, like I mentioned, there are blind people who can actually determine red and green colors with their fingertips. So the felt senses are enormous. We can develop them to a greater degree, like the woman who plays music. What she feels all vibrations, high-pitched tones and low-pitched tones. So she can play over. So we use the felt sense. And tomorrow I can give you some exercises which we can explore the felt sense. But even setting out on this journey, set out the journey, and I give this as homework with my clients. I say, okay, begin to pay attention to the physical sensations that take place in your body in different circumstances. Even that, as a starting point, I've seen people go through dramatic discoveries and changes. Just the present, this second. And like I said, we don't do it for just being in the body. It's not that. But when we're in the body, then we have access to things beyond the body. This is our principle of staying in the Sharia, to access al-Taqwa, something beyond these limitations that we set upon ourselves and that Allah has prescribed for us. Yeah, are we sorry, just trying to.
When you talk about contact and how we are as human beings wired towards being connected, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, contact.
So how do you explain some forms of religious isolation, and probably like isolation is not very prominent in our religion, but also in other religions?
Yeah. And then how, well, because we withdraw from that. Because again, if we develop the ability to turn in and discover inside what's in here, then our going out will be greater. I mean, none of those that I know of, at least not within the Islamic traditions, none of those retreats are meant to be just for the retreat. You make the retreat, and then you go out, and one of the poets said, and you move deeper into the world. You become more engaged socially, more engaged with people and their needs. You're more active in the world. That's what you use to retreat at the time. And then go on.
Another quick question.
So again,
I'll take one more question.
yes.
So you mentioned something about strategies. You mentioned having a group to help you